I'm sure those of you who are following since the first day, you see a slow rhythm that is developing in our talks. You see, first I spoke about the first creation and all that ignited by the first sentence of Aurobindo's Savitri. It was the hour before the gods awake. We wanted to understand what's the meaning of the gods, or who are these gods, and what's the meaning of the hour before the gods. So all that led us to telling the story of the first creation, the four emanations. But yesterday we also discussed about the meaning of this first creation. In the sense, is it just a children's story? Or does it have a deeper significance for our own life? And then we had Dr. Sampadananda, who gave us a wonderful talk on the yoga of the Vedas, telling us all about Surya Savitri, Bhaga Savitri, the root meaning of Savitri. And it was a wonderful exposition of what is the way the Vedas give us the yoga, which symbolically is very close to integral yoga. Because the heights of integral yoga are to reach the supramental consciousness, or to realize, if not reach. And what's the significance of reaching the supramental consciousness? It is the question of transformation. And keeping the same line of thought, I thought I should take you today to Sri Aurobindo's Gayatri Mantra. Most of us know here that Sri Aurobindo himself penned a Gayatri Mantra. Tat Savitur Varam Rupam Jyotihi Parasya Dhimahi Yannaha Satyena Deepayet. Let us meditate on the most auspicious, best form of Savitri, on the light of the Supreme, which shall illumine us with the truth. So that is the translation given by the mother. And the traditional Vishwamitra Gayatri Mantra, most of you would know, Om Bhur Bhuvasvaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Naha Prachodayat. Om, that the divine illumination which pervades the Bhuloka, there's a physical plane, Bhuvarloka, the astral plane, and Suvarloka, the celestial plane. That Savitur, which is the most adorable, on that divine radiance we meditate. May that enlighten our intellect and awaken our spiritual wisdom. So there is a kind of we do perceive a difference between both the mantras. The Gayatri Mantra and the Savitri Mantra. For Savitri Mantra specifically in the context of Sri Aurobindo's giving it a different form. The first question is, why did Sri Aurobindo have to give us this mantra? when for thousands of years we had this Gayatri mantra, enjoined by millions of people across the country and the world, what was perhaps the necessity of adding this new mantra? Because Sri Aurobindo, as all of us would know by now, would not add such a mantra as this had it not been for a specific purpose which would be fulfilled in the future. Just as the Gayatri mantra brought our Indian civilization for the past 10,000 years, and Sri Aurobindo brings in here a new mantra, which may again take us into the future for thousands of years. But how do we claim all that? Is it just because we want to project Sri Aurobindo? No. It is in the light of his own philosophy. Because here we see that Sri Aurobindo, that the ancient Gayatri mantra uses two terms. One is we have the Gayatri and Savitri. We need to understand who are these goddesses, who are these powers and forces. You see, traditionally in the occult mythology, in our Indian mythology, Gayatri is the consort of Brahman. And therefore, we have in this ancient Gayatri that Savitur, which is the most adorable on the divine radiance we meditate, may that enlighten our intellect. So we are invoking to Gayatri, the consort of Brahman, to enlighten our intellect, to, as it says, enlighten our intellect and awaken our spiritual wisdom. So what's happening here? It's basically an invocation to give our mind a proper direction, a proper understanding, a kind of enlightenment of the mind. So imagine thousands of years back when they had given us this mantra, obviously the instrument of evolution was the mind. The instrument of human evolution was given to the mind to guide the human beings in their life. So mind had to have this enlightenment, mind has to have this kind of a wisdom and knowledge. So obviously Rishi Vishwamitra implored that the mind may have the proper enlightenment so that the mind may guide humanity until the next stage of evolution. And that next stage of evolution has come now. Mind has brought us this far. And now we are going, as per Sri Aurobindo, beyond the mind, to the next level of evolution. And that next level of evolution, as all of us would know, is the supramental. So you can see the logical necessity of a new mantra. One has brought us from the vital, from the physical vital, through the mind till now. And now we need a new force, a new kind of a impetus, a new inspiration, a new dynamism to take us beyond the mind. And that is what is brought about in Sri Aurobindo when he says that let us meditate on the most auspicious form of Savitri, on the light of the Supreme, which shall illumine us with the truth. So here, he doesn't mention the mind. He says this truth, obviously the supramental truth, will illumine us. Us means the entire being. It's not just the mind as is given there in the other one very clearly. enlighten our intellect, but here in Sri Aurobindo it is enlightening the whole being. That means the mental, the vital and the physical. And what is the meaning of enlightening our being? Here, it is not just enlightenment, it is transformation of the whole mind, life and body. So immediately in this mantra, we have Sri Aurobindo invoking to the supramental Savitri to take us into that new world of the supermind. And for going into the supermind, what is required is a transformation. You cannot go into the supermind just with the mind. I mean, you can reach heights of the supermind with the mind and get a partial illumination. But supermind per se means the transformation of the three, mind, life and body. And one more thing before I wrap up. You see, as we said, Gayatri is the consort of Brahman. But Gayatri does not manifest. It is a force, it is a consciousness that is there beyond the creation, on the transcendental level. And Savitri too is the consort of Brahman as per mythology. But Savitri is sent into manifestation. So this is the difference between Gayatri and Savitri. One remains above manifestation, the other one comes into manifestation. And now what we need is one deity, the power who comes upon earth. And that is Savitri. That is the aspect of Brahman. The Savitri is that second consort, we say, all the names are given consorts and he marries second time and all that, that's mythology. But for us the significance is, Savitri has come upon earth. And now this book, the Savitri itself, talks about the descent of the same Savitri. What we say, the goddess Savitri, as she tells Ashwapati, that I will come down upon earth. I will come down not just as a force and a goddess, but as a transformative force. So this entire book deals only with one theme, the transformation of the earth. And it is part of that transformation that there is immortality. So we see the magnificent significance here that Sri Aurobindo fulfills the very ancient Vedic prayer, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. You see, up until now it was only an aspiration, a concept, but it is Sri Aurobindo now who takes up the last prayer, from death to immortality. So it has been conceived of in the Vedas, as Sampadananda also told us yesterday about the supermind and all that. But it is now with Sri Aurobindo, in Sri Aurobindo, that the last Vedic prayer is set to be realized. And that is why the importance of Savitri. And that is why we say it's going to take humanity into the next future. Because he has given us the propelling force. You see, it's not only the supramental consciousness that they have brought down in 1950 and 1956. All of us know, I don't have to repeat all that. But not only that, Sri Aurobindo has given us a means, a ladder, a method to reach the supramental, and that is here. So it is not just a book, it is a ladder to climb into that consciousness. And therefore the mother no doubt tells us that to read Savitri is to do yoga. So you can see the immense importance she gives to Savitri, that even to read Savitri regularly is to do yoga. What it means is for us to discover, but that is the essence of this attempt of Savitri. And now let me take you to the gods that we were talking about. When I gave you a diagram of the descent of the consciousness on different levels, we had seen the descent of the divine on two levels to begin with, the impersonal and the personal. And what we are interested now is the personal. It is the life divine which gives you the entire details of the impersonal descent from the different levels of consciousness. But then what we are interested, which comes out in Savitri, is the personal. And on the level of this personal descent, we said on the personal level, there is the Tat, then there is a Sat, or we can say here fully Sachidananda. Then on the third level, there is here the Aditi. Of course, when we were discussing, we were here when we had said the Aditi. So what I would like to take up today is basically this. In our first day talk, we had come to this level. I'll take it up a little more in detail. You see, the Tat is the unmanifest. And manifestation begins at the level of Sachidananda. But when this moment of manifestation begins, there is the need and necessity of the Shakti, the force, the energy, the consciousness, the conscious force, or what we call the Chit Shakti. And this Chit Shakti is named in the Vedas as Aditi, but Aurobindo calls it in a simpler manner the Supreme Mother, the Adi Shakti. And it is this Supreme Mother, Aditi, who brings forth two aspects or two different personalities, Ishvara and Ishwari. So keep this image in mind. It will be very clear for you to understand even our Indian mythology. That there cannot be any god or goddess superior to Aditi, superior to the mother. That's why she is called the Supreme Mother. So what happens, we have a line outside, what is that called? The mother of all goddesses. She is the mother of all gods and goddesses, because she is the energy consciousness force of the creatrix. And that is where, here we had given you the four personalities, and we will see Aurobindo giving us the four personalities of Ishwari. And first let me take up the Supreme Goddess, the Supreme Mother. There's Aditi. Now, who is this Aditi? We have a beautiful description given by Sri Aurobindo in a small book, the smallest book, called The Mother. It is small only in quantity, seeing the number of pages. But even in that book there is one chapter, chapter 6, which gives us perhaps the synopsis of the entire synthesis of yoga, life divine, and even Savitri. That's why to read the Mother, the small book, is not so easy. People think I just described the 4 aspects, but it is intensely philosophical, it's packed with symbolism. So here is a description of Aditi. There are 3 ways of being of the Mother, of which you can become aware when you enter into touch of oneness with the conscious force that upholds us and the universe. One line before that. The one whom we adore as the Mother is a divine conscious force that dominates all existence. One, and yet so many-sided that to follow her movement is impossible, even for the quickest mind and for the freest and most vast intelligence. The Mother is the consciousness and force of the Supreme, and far above all she creates. So the first definition that you understand is that she is the consciousness and force of the Supreme. What is that consciousness and force? That's the Chit Shakti. So Aditi, or the Supreme Mother, is the Chit Shakti aspect of Satchidananda. And then he says that there are 3 ways of understanding, of approaching Aditi. One is the transcendent, the original Supreme Shakti. She stands above the world and links the creation to the ever unmanifest mystery of the Supreme. Universal, thank you. The cosmic Mahashakti. She creates all these beings and contains and enters, supports and conducts all these million processes and forces. Individual, she embodies the power of these 2 vaster ways of our existence, makes them living and near to us, and mediates between the human personality and the divine nature. It's a beautiful, just a summary, but you see what the entire concept is there, that there are 3 levels of the Mother: the transcendental, the universal, and the individual. Remember the passage that we read out from Savitri yesterday, the absolute, the perfect. We have always these 3 levels of the divinity. One is on the transcendental level, which is here. What we see, Tat, Sat and Aditi, this level is precisely the transcendental level, where she is unapproachable. But what is her role? Her role is precisely this, that she brings forth, she upholds the universe and then links the creation to the ever unmanifest mastery of the Supreme, mystery of the Supreme. So this transcendental Mother, it is she who brings forth first Ishvara and Ishwari. That is the beginning of manifestation, where the gods and the goddesses and the worlds are created, and that is the beginning. So who is the Mother? She is the bridge between the unmanifest and the manifestation. So he tells us here that she force that upholds us and the universe. She is the link creation to the ever unmanifest mystery. Universal, the cosmic Mahashakti, she creates all these beings and contains and enters. So from the level of Ishvara and Ishwari, all the levels that come down, what we said the other day over mind, the mind and everything will come into the detail. So it is she who is really supporting, creating, entering all this universe. So that is the universal aspect. And individual, she embodies the power of these two vaster ways. Of course, she comes sometimes as the avatar, takes an individual form, because the individual form is necessary for what? For a beautiful phrase, to make them living and near to us, and mediates between the human personality and the divine nature. You see, the mother comes down as the individual in order to bridge the divine and nature, bridge Godheads and human beings. So she is that what we were listening yesterday about Agni, the Vedic Agni. She is that Agni, the link, the aspiration, the force, who takes our aspiration to the divine and brings the divine's grace upon us. So she is, that's why Sri Aurobindo calls her as the mediatrix, the creatrix. The creatrix is one here. From the transcendent she creates. But as a mediatrix is when, as an individual she comes and mediates between you and the divine. So we have here, the one original transcendent Shakti, the mother, stands above all the worlds and bears in an eternal consciousness the supreme divine. You see, try to understand these words. There's no difference as such. Sri Aurobindo says, she bears in her eternal consciousness the supreme divine. You know what's the meaning of bearing? She's carrying. So the one who carries the supreme is herself the supreme. Nobody individual less than supreme can carry the supreme. So she is the supreme. That's why I suppose she gave this title, the supreme. She is the supreme, but her role is that of a mediatrix, carrying and bringing forth the unmanifest to the manifestation. Alone she harbors the absolute power and the ineffable presence, containing or calling the truths that have to be manifested. She brings them down from mystery in which they were hidden into the light of her infinite consciousness and gives them a form of force in her omnipotent power and her boundless life and a body in the universe. So you see the immense role that the mother has, or the divine Aditi has. She brings them down from the mystery in which they were hidden into the light. So you see, she alone knows what to bring out of the supreme divine. Because as we mentioned the other day, that there is a kind of a infinite possibility of creation. In this infinite possibility of creation, it is the mother who chooses, saying, in this creation, this time, we will bring forth this kind of the rhythm of manifestation. Because Sri Aurobindo in one of his aphorisms shoots off saying, there have been 1,000,000 creations before. This is not the only one. And there will be a million more in the future. Only to tell us that this creation is not the end of the infinite powers of the Supreme. He has done that 1,000,000 times, he will do it 1,000,000 times. But this one, this creation, it may not be destroyed by a pralaya. Previous ones, they were all destroyed. They were used over, they were withdrawn, a new one came forth. But this one, the mother says, is going to remain. It's going to remain not because it's the best one, but it has the potential to progress into the supermind. So that is the secret of the present creation, because till now all the creations perhaps were there up to the level of the mind or whatever the level beyond mind, but nothing was in the supramental. But sure, the mother emphasizes that this creation would last. That means it will be ever progressive. It will go into the supermind, from supermind into Satchidananda, Sat and Chit and Ananda Loka and all that. That's a long story, we don't know. The Supreme is manifest in her forever as the everlasting Satchidananda, manifested through her in the worlds as the one and dual consciousness of Ishvara Shakti and the dual principle of Purusha Prakriti, embodied in her in the worlds and planes of the gods and their energies, and figured because of her as all that is in the known worlds and in unknown others. You see, that's why I call this passage as absolutely cryptic. He has given us the philosophy that she is the one manifest in Satchidananda, because she is part and parcel of Satchidananda. Then she says, through her this Ishvara Shakti, what we are given as Ishvara and Ishwari, that also comes forth. Even the principle of Purusha Prakriti, embodied in by her, is all her. Well, maybe we are repeating, but the essential idea is that she is the origin of this creation. You understand it in any way, but she is the origin. Incidentally, I remember the line, a question. When this was brought out, one of the sadhaks asked Sri Aurobindo, but in our Indian mythology, is Brahma who is the creator? And Sri Aurobindo says, she is the creator of Brahma also. So don't confuse. You can see now. He says, there cannot be a Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva beyond her. Because the very first form, as I put it somewhere, form is given by her. So it's later on Brahma or Shiva or Vishnu or whatever you want to give, anything that is there, that has a form is formed out of her. So that is the kind of the overwhelming truth. There's nothing to go argue beyond that. So you call it Brahma is the creator, Shiva is the creator, and everybody says no, Vishnu is the creator, Sri Krishna is the creator. Okay, all mythologies you put together. But Sri Aurobindo says all that comes into only one phase, that is, she is the origin. And then she would say, all is she, for all are parcel and portions of the divine conscious force. Nothing can be here or elsewhere but what she decides and the Supreme sanctions. Nothing can take shape except what she, moved by the Supreme, perceives and forms after casting it into seed in her creating Ananda. So there cannot be anything beyond. Nothing here, elsewhere. Nothing can take shape except what she, moved by the Supreme, perceives. So she perceives, takes the sanction of the Supreme. You see, it's a way of saying, it's not that she goes and asks the Supreme, can I do this? It is her own consciousness. She is the consciousness of the Supreme. Whatever, it is she who perceives the whole thing. The Mahashakti, the universal mother, works out whatever is transmitted by her transcendent consciousness from the Supreme and enters into the world that she has made. Her presence fills and supports them with the divine spirit and the divine all-sustaining force and delight without which they could not exist. That which we call nature or Prakriti is only her most outward executive aspect. She marshals and arranges the harmony of her forces, etc. Each of the world is nothing but one play of the Mahashakti of that system of worlds or universe, who is there as the cosmic soul and personality of the transcendent mother. Well, this is where we are going to get into later. As a universal aspect, she has created all the gods, the Prakriti, nature, And as he writes here, that which we call Prakriti is only her outward expression, is the most outward expression. This is a little more detailed, maybe we'll understand that at the end of the session maybe. Well, maybe I can skip this. Yeah, the last one. The mother not only governs all from above, but she descends into this lesser triple universe. Impersonally, all things here, even the movements of the ignorance, are herself in veiled power and her creations in diminished substance, her nature body and nature force, and they exist because, moved by the mysterious fiat of the Supreme, to work out something that was there in the possibilities of the infinite, she has consented to the great sacrifice. Well, this is what Sri Aurobindo speaks of is the individual aspect. Now, when she comes down as the individual aspect, we have this four of our leading powers and personalities. Now, this is where I'm interested in. So, we have seen this transcendental, the universal is Ishvara, Ishvari, and then further down, what are her gods and goddesses? Because our concentration is purely on the creation of gods and goddesses. So the other day, let me just finish this, wrap up this concept. In this book called The Supreme, there's a passage, well, those of you who do not know about this book, just to give you a little idea of what it is, this was a conversation that was between one of the sadhaks in the ashram and the mother. It was perhaps the most intimate conversation that the mother had about her own spiritual status, about her own spiritual consciousness. So we see a unique dimension of the mother that has been revealed by herself. I mean, I always compare it with the Bhagavad Gita, where there is the Vishwarup Darshan, where Sri Krishna reveals his true spiritual, the cosmic aspect. And the mother and Sri Aurobindo have never revealed their cosmic aspect, be it in Savitri or the Life Divine or the letters. But this is the only conversation, maybe sometimes held, sometimes held in the 60s. And one of the only passages, if I can remember, where there is the cosmic vision of the mother, and she reveals who she is. A small paragraph, 10 to 15 lines. Mother tells this sadhak, you do not know what a favor I am doing to you all. You have no idea that the whole world, the entire universe, bows down to me, imploring me in an act of adoration to serve me. You do not know who I am, who has descended in the ignorance among you, who has consented to be human, to take up a physical body among you all. You have no idea of who is there before you. Well, even the gods whom you revere so much perform tapasya in order to have a glimpse of me. It is for me and through me that the whole universe exists, and it vibrates in my consciousness. It is through me that all living beings and inanimate things and all that you see in the manifestation acts and progresses. There is nothing that is not within me. I am the cause. It is in me that all things disappear. Everything is expressed in me and aspires to take refuge in me. Those who know me a little give their entire lives to find me. I am above the whole manifestation. So here you see that Aditi, the one who is above this manifestation about Ishvara and all that, she is the one that is she says, I am the cause of all this creation, I am the source. Obviously this sentence makes sense now, we understand. Even the gods whom you revere so much perform tapasya in order to have a glimpse of me. We do tapasya to have gods, and the gods do tapasya to have a glimpse of the mother. So a small portion, but that has been my guiding light to understand the mother. So that is what I would like to describe about Aditi. And now we will move on to the four aspects of Ishvara. I did start on this last time. That on the Purusha side, the Ishvara side, you see, there is sometimes a misunderstanding between the words Ishvara and God and Bhagavan and all that. Because in India, when we have a normal parlance, we say everything is, you call him Ishvara, you call him Bhagavan, you call him whatever, deity, God. But these are the two aspects, Ishvara and Ishvari. Ishvara, we call it Shakti, Purusha or Prakriti. These are the two eternal aspects of Aditi. And part of that Ishvara, or manifesting this Ishvara, are several gods. So when we say, you see, we are very, conveniently we say Bhagavan Ek Hai. We do not mean any of these overmental godheads. We again go back to Sachidananda, or we go back to consciousness force. But philosophically, what we have to understand is that there is one Aditi, one Purusha aspect, but in that Purusha aspect, there are four main manifestations. What we call last time, in my slide what I saw, your Mahavira and Balaram and Pradyumna and Aniruddha. But Sri Aurobindo calls them differently, not all of them, only the first one. He doesn't use Mahavira. He uses the first deity as Sri Krishna. Now these are the four aspects, and counter to them there are this Ishwari aspect, the female aspects. So first let me clear up that. Sri Krishna contains all the others and puts them out from his being. He is Ishvara, Shiva, Brahma, Vishnu. Lordship is his manifestation, might and wisdom are his gunas. So remember, Sri Krishna is the might and wisdom. Because the one word that we remember is the wisdom. So here, Sri Krishna represents that wisdom or the might, and Balarama is the second power. Force is his manifestation. Strength and wrath are his attributes. Well, from our own stories we know Balarama represents strength because of whatever he does. But also, he's a man with great wrath and anger, but that's not important for our study, it is power. Pradyumna is the third power. Love is his manifestation. Sweetness and delight are his attributes. Aniruddha is the fourth power. Desire is his manifestation. Bodily enjoyment and worldly reason are his attributes. Now I found a great meaning and significance here. When we see the female aspects, the Ishwari aspects, then the whole thing becomes very clear. What we have here in the Ishwari aspect are the four aspects of the mother. But there is another letter of Sri Aurobindo which really throws a lot more light. The Satya is full of Sri Krishna, the golden age, when men are full of might and wisdom. The Treta is full of Balarama. The Chakravarti Raja is the incarnation of the Treta. It is full of great wars and mighty sacrifices. The Dwapara is full of Pradyumna. He prepares in the Dwapara the love which supports men through the Kali. Aniruddha, the Shudra, reigns in the Kali. He breaks the ancient modes. He shatters to pieces the Achara. He questions everything, destroys everything, levels everything, rebuilds everything. He is a Shudra and has the passion for work and service. He puts off lordship in order to become the divine slave of humanity. And there is now this is where I'd like to expand a little more. Now we said Sri Krishna represents wisdom. And as I told you the other day, let's not take up these names as the final ones. We have taken these names only to represent. You see, when we say Koshana Mahakali, the Kali immediately we know is as the strength. But on the Ishvara level, the Purusha level, there is also the strength. You see, in this creation, there are all these parallels are there. The female side, the male side, the Ishwari side, the Ishvara side. So how do we take up the question of strength? So Sri Krishna, Sri Aurobindo could have invented new names. But in our Indian tradition, it has come through this Vaishnava tradition especially, the question of Balarama has been given to us in mythology as somebody strong and full of strength. So it is easier to borrow the same name of Balarama instead of giving a new name. So Sri Aurobindo says, okay, let us accept the name Balaram for manifesting strength. So we have these four: wisdom, strength, harmony, and perfection, and service, and work, and action. Now it's so very interesting. He says that Satya is full of Krishna, Satya Yuga. Satya Yuga is full of Sri Krishna, that means wisdom. And on the female side, the Ishwari side, the same period is dominated by Maheshwari. So we have very beautiful understanding. Satya is the wisdom, and Maheshwari is the one who has dominated this period. What Sri Aurobindo in his philosophy again would call the age of symbolism, the age of the Vedic Upanishadic times. There is all the wisdom. The symbolism is that of symbolic age, Sri Aurobindo calls it as. So this symbolic age is nothing but grand wisdom. So you will see in all the cultures of humanity, why even the Greek culture, in the West the Greek culture which is the origin of the Western culture, we have had the first wisdom there. That is why Socrates dominates there, Plato dominates there, Aristotle dominates there. But that is the age of wisdom. Not even Aristotle, it's purely Plato and Socrates. Because by the time Aristotle comes, there's already a step down lower. It comes to the reason. The wisdom is that intuition, is the revelation. And the same thing happens in China. In China too, we have the same Lao Tzu and other masters there. The same thing. In Egypt. So in every civilization, the beginning is of Maheshwari. And in India, we have the symbolic age, the Vedic rishis, it's easier to understand. So that is male and female, both have the wisdom side. There is Krishna and Maheshwari. And then there is the Treta, is the Balarama. You see, Sri Aurobindo has equated Satya Yuga and Treta Yuga. Treta Yuga is the second aspect where we have Balaram. But on the female side, we have Mahakali. And there he says, the Chakravarti Raja is the incarnation of the Treta. So who is this Chakravarti Raja? He is the king, the powerful king, the one who is who rules. Chakravarti is king of kings, he is the emperor. So that means that the age of kings, empires, conquests, but the whole scenario in the world, in all the nations again is, from the time of the wisdom, they get into empires, wars, kingdoms, queens, everything. So most of the history that we hear is about this period, which was the king who followed, who murdered whom, the castles and the forts and everything that we have in our history are about the second phase of evolution, where there is only the story of the power. So Sri Aurobindo gives us one representing name. The Chakravarti Raja is the incarnation of the Treta. That means he is the symbol, that means the power. You see, now we understand how Sri Aurobindo is looking at evolution. That there is first the dominance of Maheshwari, next there is the dominance of Mahakali, and then what happened? The third one, the Dwapara is full of Pradyumna. He prepares in the Dwapara the love which supports men through the Kali. The third aspect, the Pradyumna aspect, is that of harmony and love. And here on the female side, we have Mahalakshmi. When we have Lakshmi, normally we say it is, Lakshmi in Indian gods it has become money, wealth. But Lakshmi is not wealth. In a true aspect, it is harmony. Harmony means wealth is part of that harmony. Because the very question that there is tremendous rich and tremendous poor, that is disharmony. So wealth also can create disharmony. So it is a question of saying that Mahalakshmi is trying to bring about a harmony not only in the earnings and the wealth and the rich and the poor, but amongst human relations. The higher and the lower, in the hierarchy and all that. So there is a question of harmony. So Sri Aurobindo would go more by the harmony and love. So that is what he says. Pradyumna also represents that kind of a harmony and love which supports men in the Kali Yuga. Now the fourth one is about to come, the Kali Yuga. So he brings in the question of love also. And there we have again this question of the coming of Christ, the aspect of love, the coming of all these saints in India, all saints in Tamil Nadu or Gujarat or Punjab or Calcutta, where there is a love towards the divine, there is a bhakti marga, bhakti yoga. So you see, the first yuga there was the question of jnana marga, in the wisdom level, Vedas and the Upanishads, they gave us the wisdom, the jnana, the knowledge. Here comes the bhakti, where the devotion aspect is developed. So it's there all over the country, all over the universe, all over the countries, the same system. In India we may call it as the saints, but you take up any history of any culture, it's the same thing. It may be West or East or Egypt or Mesopotamia. I think the most unfortunate civilization is the present one, where you have neither bhakti nor jnana, except you have mobiles, all the nonsense, nothing more than that. So, but there are yugas where there was a domination of wisdom, domination of bhakti, domination of jnana. I mean, even the poorest man was wedded to bhakti or this or that. So now that is the third level which prepared the Kali Yuga. And the fourth one is Aniruddha, the Shudra reigns the Kali Yuga. And now your famous Stalin, the champion of the Shudra, the proletariat. I mean, if I knew this, I would have predicted myself that Stalin is going to come next. The scheme is so clear that next there is the reign of proletariats, the Shudras, the slaves, the servants. And today we are all Shudras. Sorry to say that. You may want to be called Brahmin and Kshatriya, put in your CV, I am a Brahmin. We are literally Shudras. That means we are slaves of work, we are slaves of money, and as he calls it here, he questions and his passion for work and service. All your great management, I don't know who are all these management people here, nothing but service. You call it big words, management, CEO, this and all that, but nothing but service and nothing but passion for work. And that is the thing that I think we are all perhaps, we have become so very used to saying the one word, I am busy. Even the beggar would say, I am busy. I don't know, it's become such a strange psychology that if you don't say I am busy, that you feel you are nobody. So in order to establish your astitva, your importance, you got to say, no, I am terribly busy. These days impossible, I cannot meet you. And I really wonder, are we really busy? But we are mentally, we have auto-suggestion so much that I am busy. There's long back in my childhood, I read an article, I don't know, by some English, busy doing nothing. And today is exactly that, busy doing nothing, but we all want to be busy. Retired man is 80, 85, I'm terribly busy. After retirement I become more busy then. It's a strange psychology. We are caught up, gripped by the psychology of busy. And here is what Aurobindo says, he is a Shudra and has passion for work and service. And mother on this side is Saraswati. So mother herself says this is the age of Saraswati. So age of service, age of Shudra, age of work, and age of perfection. So all your mobiles, all this is what? Perfection. You have, I don't know what you call NG or VG, or keep on improving your mobiles, keep on doing this. There is no end to this material perfection. So it is not the credit of the Japanese or the Indians or Modi saying, what is that, make up India or start up India. Nobody's business. It is the whole universal domination is by Ma Saraswati. You will it or not, you want it or not, there's only one domination. So today is a great congratulations for all of you who want to come to SACAR to know knowledge. Because here we have only Maheshwari. We don't have work, we don't have devotion, we don't have... What I want to say is, where there is any kind of a drama or any activity, you will see Aurobindo, people are rushing to Aurobindo because there are activities, exhibitions, doing physical works. So I'm trying to exaggerate, I'm exaggerating a little bit only to bring to you bring you home to the point. This is the age of work. So everybody needs to work, you may call it environment, your employment, your earning skill and all that and all that. What you call the skilled labor, skilled people. You have got Ministry of Skills. So why is that skill has suddenly become so very important? Because this is the age. And there's one more line that he has mentioned very beautifully. He says this Pradyumna shatters to pieces the achara. He questions everything. That is the great individualistic age. So from the symbolism, from the other ages, subjective, we have landed in an age of individualism, where we question all the achara, all the tradition, all that was past. So don't blame your children if they are blaming you, if they are asking you questions, if they run away from your house, if they get married to 3 people. He says, this is the age. Is not your thing. No achara, no tradition, nothing can really bind the individual. This is Saraswati herself who is doing that. She wants to break the molds of the past. And Savitri herself is that breaking the molds of the past. What is the mold that she has broken of the past? Death, mortality, that which is amritam mrityu That is the past which she has broken down completely, forever, for good. So who is Savitri? She is really the person who breaks down all of the past. Be it, why even our mother, she says, break down your tradition of marriages. It may be a bit of a shocking thing for those of us who are already in a bald head. We say, no, bhaiya, marriage kaise band hogi? But she was too far. You see, this is the meaning of Shiva Tandav. He is not that he comes with a damru and dances on the stage with his hair flowing and blah blah. Shiva Tandav is happening every day, every instant. Why don't we realize that? Breaking the past means breaking that which cannot be taken into the future, that which does not evolve, that which cannot progress. That is the fossilization of your mindset. And these fossils of thought is what are being broken. And these fossils have to be broken if a new light has to come in. We have lived with these fossils for too long. And the longest one is called death. And imagine mrityorma amritam gamaya. But what a tremendous challenge Aurobindo must have taken up. Even the very concept that I'm here to break the mold of death, and which includes, if you want to break the mold of death, you'll have to break many a mold. Because death is the longest and the biggest and the intensest and the darkest mold. But because if you want to break death, you have to break many other molds. And some other beautifully calls it, sometimes it is difficult to understand, but she puts it perhaps in too simple a way. She says, death is a habit. Suddenly you wake up and you say, hey, my God, death is a habit. Then can I not break my habit? They try it. I cannot really break my habit of even sleeping after lunch. A choti si baat, simple thing of my nap. What am I trying to do? Break death? Forget about it. So we are all wrapped up in habits. Right from your nap to and the greatest thing that I've recently realized, the greatest habit is your food taste. I tell you, that's one thing that is as deep as the genes in you. Nobody can break your molds of habit of food. And then slowly I start thinking, this is the thing. Nobody can help it. The other day I went to somebody who says, I've lived in Calcutta for the last 20 years, but I maintain my own Marwadi food. At home you have the same ghee, the same chapati, the same. 20 years in Bengal, not a half a spoon of sugar in anything. Because Bengal is known to put sugar in, not more, much more in everything. But he is proud to say, no, I maintain my Marwadi taste. The Gujaratis will say, no, I bhi khata hun, curry khata hun with the shakkar. Without curry, without shakkar I cannot. And at home, I'm a Telugu, my wife is a Bengali. She wants sweet, I want jhal, achar. I started wondering, I said, is it a disharmony between us? I said, no, it's not a disharmony, it's the harmony of the tongue. So what I want to tell you just in a lighter mode is that we are into these habits. And that is why our famous Aniruddha, he says it destroys everything, levels everything, rebuilds everything. So Aniruddha, or the age of Saraswati, Saraswati, are important for two things. One is what we discussed yesterday about the individual. We all become individualistic. Secondly, we break the molds of the past. And then we see the passion for work. And work means not just a work, but it is perfection. So if you have this kind of an understanding, you will understand the ways, the things, the means, the politicians, the individuals, the communities, the societies. Everybody is steeped in this. We cannot escape. So that is why I try to meditate. You have no time for meditation. You try to go to temples, no time for temples. People may say, I've left going to temple, but I'll say, try it out. You can't. It's not in your veins, it's not in your genes. Because the whole atmosphere today is not to go to the temples. Not because you don't like them. There's no time. As simple as that. Because we have to work. Morning to evening, evening to afternoon. So, sum and substance is that we are passing through a period. You call it Kali Yuga, you call it whatever, but for me it is the Yuga of Saraswati. The Yuga of Saraswati where we are all Shudras. That means the moment we say I'm busy, in the next column when you say what is your Jat, you say I'm a Shudra. Your application form, don't say I'm a Brahmin, I'm Kshatriya. You say I'm a Shudra. You see, and in fact it is a proud thing to call ourselves Shudra today because we are really, the other side you say I'm a PhD, I'm an MA, I'm a CEO, what am I doing? I'm a professor, what are you doing? I'm very busy in the university. The moment you say busy, equivalence to Shudra. So if you choose yourself, what is it, you want to be a Shudra or you want to be not busy? It's up to you. But basically, this is the whole rhythm of evolution. The Aurobindo is giving us through those 4 names. It is a cycle of evolution. And so today, in this yuga, in this age, there are now attempts to return to the first yuga of the meditation of Maheshwari. There are sparks that are coming up. Not to go back to the meditation per se, but there are immense plethora of ways of meditation. There's not one way of meditation. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. Why? Because we want to come to the next stage. There is a transition from the Shudra, from this level of the work, from the 4th level, we want to go back not to the Maheshwari age as she was, but Maheshwari age on the supramental level. And that cycle of going back to Maheshwari on the supramental level is this mother and this Shurabhuta. So they are the harbingers of the next cycle of evolution. So what they have done is they are showing us that out of this, how do you transit to the next cycle of evolution? And that is the significance. Otherwise, don't just do bhakti, put a agarbatti and a flower, and our Shruti is expert in bringing flowers every day. But don't do it this question of, "Are puja karna nahi hai." But transform yourself. Today, puja is not just showing your bhakti. Don't do devotion to the divine as a duty. Devotion for transformation. That you want to transform yourself. And in the transformation, remember what we had yesterday, a very good idea that Mother says the same thing. You do devotion not putting your chappals outside the temple. Please don't think that you should take the chappals inside. But that is only a significant, a symbolic gesture to say all the dirty things are left outside the temple. No, you can put your chappals outside, but what about the chappals here? The dirty things in the mind, in the heart, in the vital. Can you put them outside in a little slot and say, I'll give you 2 rupees? You put chappals outside, but you take the whole muck inside. But there also, you put a nice curtain, and you don't give it to the divine. So till now religion said, You go and give that agarbatti and that coconut and that kasturi, whatever. But what the mother and the Vedas have told us is, give on the platter your own self. That's why we are asked to take flowers to the mother, in which a flower would be my falsehood of my thoughts, in which one flower would be my vital belongings, in which my word. All that is lower in me, in my lower nature, I was asked to give to the mother. So when we gave the bouquet to the mother, it was a bouquet passing on all my lower nature. And her taking over that bouquet means taking over all your lower nature, all the impurities, all the darkness within you, putting it aside or absorbing. And when she gave back a rose to you, a flower to you, it's a meaning that you develop that love for the divine, transform your lower nature. She would give that. So that is the transformative process that is to take place. And so in this yuga, what we see is we may do all the meditation, we may do all the bhakti, we may do go to the temple or not go to the temple is immaterial. But you put the flower, you put the agarbatti, you put the coconut, you put the arti. But that is a... Sri Aurobindo doesn't say don't put. He says whenever you're putting a flower on an agarbatti, remember why you're putting, not what you're putting. It is not the ashram agarbatti or cottage or the Orishik agarbatti. Agarbattis don't matter. It's not going to smell you. Is it nirvana agarbatti or shakti agarbatti? But what God will smell is your own being, your own perfume of your own being. So are you ready to offer that perfume? So pehle jo hai, we used to just give a perfume and nice perfume, God will be happy with this brand. No, God is not happy with the brand of agarbatti. It's the brand of your own emotion, your dedication, your offering.